Hello everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel. I'm Em and welcome to episode 1 of Book Series Bingo. So I don't know about y'all, but back in the day, I used to marathon series. I would start a book in a series and I would finish it and then I'd pick up the next one right away. And then I'd pick up the next one and then I'd pick up the next one until I had finished the series before I moved on to another book. And I don't do that anymore. And I think we can blame social media for that switch of practice, maybe. Or just that there are way too many good books out in the world. So I thought it might be fun to gamify this goal of trying to complete some series. So I have my handy dandy bingo board of all the next books in series that I am interested in picking up within this next year. And so the goal is going to be to pick a row and black out that row and then get a bingo, and then the next episode we'll move on to another row. If you follow me on Instagram, I did ask which row y'all thought I should start on. However, y'all picked a row that had a real big book on it, and I am not ready to pick up some of the bigger books on this. If you'll look at it, you see 2 really big books on this bingo board, and I'm so sorry, I'm not interested in reading those 2 books right now. So I am going to cut myself a break, and we are going to start with a free space row so that I only have to read 4 books this go around. And maybe next time I'll randomize it, but right now it's my rules. I can play how I want, and I choose to read a free space row. So in this video, in this first episode, I am going to be reading How to Steal a Galaxy, which is the next book in, let me just go get it. All right, I don't actually know what the series is called, but it's this book. It is the sequel to Full Speed to a Crash Landing, which I read, was that this year or last year? I don't know. It's been within the last 6 months. And I would like to continue on with the series. These are really short little space operas. Full Speed to a Crash Landing was about a heist and it was really fun. And it just ended on a total cliffhanger. So I'm excited to continue on and see what happens to our main character, Ada, who is kind of a con artist, and Ryan, who is a government spy, I guess, and their little rivalry, will they, won't they romance that got kicked off in book 1. So I'm excited to continue on with this because I thought it was really fun, and it's short, which just fits all the boxes for me right now. And then the next one I'm going to be reading, I don't have the physical copy yet, but it is The Unrelenting Earth by Kritika H. Rao. This is the sequel to The Surviving Sky, which is like sci-fi fantasy. And this had really interesting world building. The 2 main characters are husband and wife, and their marriage is really tumultuous and rocky. And I didn't absolutely love The Surviving Sky, but I thought all the ideas were really interesting. I really liked the world building. I liked the complexity of the marriage couple's relationship, and I'm interested to see where the relationship goes. The Surviving Sky was also Rao's debut, and so I am very interested to see how her writing grows in book 2. And then of course I got the free space, so I don't have to read anything, so you know, that's lovely. And then the 4th book that I'm going to be reading is The Oleander Sword by Tasha Suri. This is book 2 in the Burning Kingdoms trilogy, and I have been putting this off for far too long. I read, what's the first book called? The Jasmine Throne 2 years ago now? A little over a year ago, not quite a year and a half. And I absolutely loved it. I gave it 5 stars. I was obsessed. I went out and bought this not even a week after finishing The Jasmine Throne because I had such a good time. And now it's just been sitting and I've just been putting it off. I tried to start it at one point and then I don't know, I got scared. I don't know, but I put it down and moved on to other things. And it's just, enough is enough. The 3rd book is finally out. And if I put this on the list, I could finish the trilogy. So let's just do that. And then the 4th book, which I also don't have a physical copy of, is Go Luck Yourself by Sarah Raish. Oh, I've been told how to pronounce this and now I forgot it. I think it's Rash. And this is part of a romance series. Book 1 was The Nightmare Before Kissmas, which I read last year and I just thought was so cute. I had such a good time with it. And this is the next book, and it is about the main character from book 1. His brother is in this one. And I just thought these books looked like they were going to be so light and fluffy, and there ended up being this really great like political fantasy component to book 1 at least that I wasn't expecting, but I thought added a lot of depth to the world building, and I thought the romance was really sweet. The book 1 was single person POV, which is not my favorite in romance. I love a dual POV, but again, it was such a fun time. And right now I just want fun books. I also feel like I need a fun book to balance out the 2 heavier books that I have on this TBR for this video. So yeah, that is the plan. That's what we're starting with. I've been wanting to do this first episode for a while. I made the bingo board kind of a little bit ago, and I've just been waiting for when I was ready to start, and I got tired of waiting. So we're doing it now. And I hope you enjoy this vlog and keep up with me as I go through this series. My goal is to black out the bingo board by the end of the year. So wish me luck. On paper, this should be a perfect series for me. Book 1 is called Full Speed to a Crash Landing. This is book 2, How to Steal a Galaxy. And these are little space opera novellas about Ada Lamar, who is, I guess, a con woman or like person for hire, kind of like the crew on Firefly, where somebody's willing to hire her to do a job and pay her what she charges. She's on board to do a job. And book 1 starts where the ship has crash landed on a planet, and Ada is there to scavenge from the ship, and then something goes wrong and she almost dies, and she's rescued by another ship. And there's a bunch of great characters on this ship, and one of them is Ryan White, who's like a government agent type person. And hijinks ensue, and Ada ends up leaving the ship but having taken something from Ryan, so it's a cliffhanger. And then we're going into this where Ada is hired by this mysterious organization to pull a heist at this fundraiser / dinner event for the super duper wealthy on this other planet. And Ryan, of course, is there. And this should be perfect for me. It's chaotic. It's sarcastic. There is like a slowly building romance between Ada and Ryan that I think is delightfully paced. And like, if you like a slow burn and want to follow like this cat and mouse dynamic between 2 love interests through multiple books, I think it does that so well. But for whatever reason, when I am reading these books, my eyes slide right off the page. I cannot take in the words that the author has said in an easy manner, and I don't know why. I should fly through these books. These are not long. These are these teeny tiny little, I mean, they're the size of my face. It's so little, and yet it takes me forever to read because I have to reread so much to get the words to sink into my brain. So I don't know what it is about Beth Revis's writing that just does not gel with the way I take in stories. So it's just like, I think it's a good version of what it is. It's just, we're just not compatible. And it makes me really sad because I should absolutely love this because I love a sci-fi romance and there's so few of them, and I should just eat this whole series up, and I don't. And so I gave Full Speed to a Crash Landing a 4. I think I'm going to give this a 3 because I struggled to read this one so much. But again, I think it's a good version of what it is. It just doesn't match up with my brain, unfortunately. And what I was hoping for when I started this series is to have the same experience I had with Polaris Rising by Jesse Mihalik. I can't remember what this series is, but this is a sci-fi trilogy as well. This is a romance, space opera, and this is also an ADA, so they do have that in common. They actually kind of look kind of similar. For whatever reason, like, this is a perfect match for my brain, and I flew through this whole series. I loved it. Now, the primary difference is, while this series is following the same couple, Polaris Rising is has interconnected standalone, so each book is a different sister. Ada has 2 other sisters, and so each book is that romance. But this one was so good, and so I loved the romance in here. I love how it was built and the tension between the main character. It's a little bit reversed in this one. Ada in Polaris Rising is a disinherited heiress, basically, who's landed herself in a sticky situation. And then the hero, it's been so long since I've read this. What is his name? Marcus. And if I remember correctly, he's like a bounty hunter and has been hired by Ada's father to find her and bring her home. And it was like Chronicles of Riddick vibes, but with romance. I loved it. It's so good. So I was really, this video is not about Polaris Rising. So that's what I thought the time that I would have with this series. And I think after finishing this, I don't know, I'm tempted to say I should just not keep reading the series, but they're so short. I keep going back to it because the whole book is from Ada's perspective with book 1 in this. And then at the end, we get like official documents that Ryan has filled out and like Ryan's take on what has happened. And I love this section. Like, this section at the end of book 1 is why it was a 4-star and convinced me that I needed to pick up book 2. And then, not entirely the same, but like, I had just like a fine time. And then I got to the end, to Ryan's portion. I'm like, oh, that's so fun. But I think I can't keep reading a series where I'm giving each book a full star rating, a full star lower rating than the book before it. Because I'm like, what's going to happen? Like, book 3, maybe it'll be amazing and it'll finally click and I'll love it and I'll get it. And it will be like a 4.5. Or we'll keep up this trend and it'll be like a 2. And I just don't know if I want to do that to myself. I think I want to be nicer to myself than to do that. So I think I'm going to like tentatively soft DNF this series and not worry about continuing on. Although I don't think book 3 is out yet, but I think I just have to soft DNF. I just gotta love myself like that. So it's so sad. I don't even know where I was the last time I updated you, so I don't even know if I'm repeating a location or if it's different, so that I'm not just sitting in the same spot every time I update this video. But I am halfway through Go Luck Yourself. Why do I love these books so much? Why? These are such a silly, goofy time. But I am just utterly, like, I cannot put it down. It even has long chapters. Both of these books, Nightmare Before Kissmas and this one, have such, okay, I'm doing this wrong. Let's rewind. Hi, okay, I am reading Go Luck Yourself by Sarah Rash. This is book 2 in the Royals and Romance series. Book 1 is The Nightmare Before Kissmas, and in The Nightmare Before Kissmas, we are following Cole, who is a prince of Christmas, and he is like a walking disaster. I'll put that book up since I'm talking about it. He's a walking disaster and a mess and just a public image nightmare for his family. His dad is, of course, the king of Christmas, Santa Claus as far as the world is concerned. And in this world that Sarah Rash has created, all the holidays have royal families and are more like kingdoms and are hidden from the real world. So us normies do not know that there are holiday royalty and that there's magic, and that's kept very close to the surface. And in Nightmare Before Kissmas, in order to fix a public relations snafu, Cole is put into a forced engagement to his best friend Iris, who is the Princess of Easter. And then the Prince of Halloween, shows up to vie for her hand as well, but then Cole and Hex, the Prince of Halloween, start to get feelings for each other instead of feelings for Iris. Okay? It was great. Like I said, silly, goofy time, but there's this political fantasy plot that gave it a lot of weight and heft, and I ended up loving because it kept it from being too silly for me, and I just absolutely adored the first book. It was so good. And so in this one, we are following Chris, who is Cole's brother, and Chris, very much out of character for him, gets into the holiday tabloids for a prank he pulls on the Prince of St. Patrick's Day and has to go spend a week with the St. Patrick's Day royals in order to repair relations. I would say you probably should read Nightmare Before Kissmas before you read this, because even though it's a different couple and a different romance, the plot from the first book is being carried over into this one, and you could probably pick up on it and figure it out fine. I think Sarah Rash does a pretty good job of reminding the reader of all that went down, but we're carrying over a lot of stuff from the first book. Like, Chris is a really big part of book one, and so his trauma and his anxiety and just who he is as a person, you learn a lot of that in book one, and it's just carried over into this one. But like, I am just eating this up with a spoon. It's so good. I love Lachlan and Chris's dynamic. I love, again, how silly goofy this is, but then there's really high stakes with what's going on with the political plot, and I don't know what to tell you. I just love this series, and this should be too silly for me, but no, it's not possible. I take that back. I do love a silly, goofy book. A silly, goofy, campy is definitely my favorite. I would rather be in that world than read a grimdark. Don't give me a grimdark book, but like a silly, goofy time, I'm here for it. It's so fun. So yeah, I absolutely adore this. I'm hoping I'm gonna finish it soon because I've just been flying through it because I cannot put it down. Even with these long ass chapters, I don't care. I just want all the Chris and Patrick scenes because I think their dynamic is so good. I also, look, the praise kink usually does not work for me. I think it's pretty gross. But in a male-male romance, where one of them has like severe issues with recognizing his own self-worth, I could be talked into it, you know? Okay, I'm gonna try and finish this book. It might be a 5-star. It might, it could. We'll just see. We'll see how it goes. We'll see if she does a third act breakup. And if she does a third act breakup, we'll see how dumb it is. I've been half listening to it on audio as well, and the audiobook narrator is doing a very decent Irish accent for Lachlan, which is, it's so good. That's your update. I'm gonna go finish this book now. I finished it. Oh my gosh, this is so cute. So cute. A little bit of a slow burn, but then once it starts, these books get very spicy. You just gotta be patient for it, if that's something you're looking for in a romance book. I tend to not really care either way. I will say, as much as I enjoy the audiobook, when I get to the spicy scenes in romance novels, I will pause the audiobook and I will read it physically, because hearing somebody say the spicy parts is not for me. Not for me. But this is really lovely. So cute. I really liked the anxiety rep in this, and it's not a 5-star. I am giving it 4.25 because there were some parts towards the end that were just too cringy for me to handle. These boys said words to each other that were very sweet, very romantic, so unrealistic. Which, yes, I'm reading a book with physical manifestations of holidays. Reality shouldn't matter, but it just did. Okay, it just did. But like I said, this series is so fun, and I love how Chris and Lachlan played off of each other. But let me say, this book made me love Cole from book one even more. And I already loved Cole because I love a mess. I love a messy character, in a romance novel so much. Actually, I just love a messy character in general, whether it's fantasy, romance, science fiction. I don't tend to love like a lithic messy character, but in genre fiction, I love a messy character. And everybody, everybody in these books is so messy. And so I already loved Cole because I love a mess and I love a chaotic mess even more. But the way he supports his brother in this book is just... I read a lot of books with sisters and sister dynamics, and I love that because I have a sister and I love my sister dearly. So I just enjoy reading that sisterly dynamic so much. But I don't read a lot of books with brothers. And even though I have a brother, like a brother-sister relationship, I'm going to assume is not the same as like a brother-to-brother relationship. And just the way Cole and Chris loved each other and cared for each other and supported each other in this book, just, it made me so happy. I really like the series so much, and I'm so excited for book 3. And Sarah Rash teased in this book who the couple is going to be for book 3. I mean, I knew it was going to be Iris, but we met who the love interest is, and I cannot wait. I cannot wait. Don't know when that book will come out though. So I imagine probably not until next spring, which that I'm mad about. But she does have another book coming out, I think this fall, called The Entanglement of Rival Wizards, which I'll have to look into because it says Ali Hazelwood meets Dungeons and Dragons, fantasy, academia, rom-com. That would be really cool as long as it's not inspired by Hermione, because then I can't read it because I won't. This I love. So yay! Now I have 2 chonky fantasies to choose between for which one to read next. And chonky fantasies where I don't super remember what happened in book 1, which might be a problem. It might be fine. Might be fine. I don't know which one I'm going to start next. I might start the Critica H. Rao next, mostly because I'm afraid to read the it's not the Jasmine Throne. What's book 2 called? The Oleander Sword. I'm afraid to read it because I'm afraid I'm not going to like it as much as I like the Jasmine Throne. So why not put it off even longer to deal with my fear and dive into one where I'm not as invested for if I don't like it as much. Makes sense to me. All right, I did do a quick search, and it is not. It is original IP, I guess, and it's gay. So definitely putting this on my most anticipated list for the fall. I'm so excited. I'm a little over 50 pages into The Unrelenting Earth, and I'm not having a great time, but I'm also not having a bad time, which, if memory serves, is kind of how I felt about The Surviving Sky. So The Surviving Sky is solar punk, and I keep thinking I'm getting the titles mixed up, so I keep having to double check that I'm talking about the right book. So, but book 1, Rewinding, Surviving Sky, is solar punk, and it is based on Hindu philosophy, not mythology. Philosophy. It's set on Earth, and they've been exacerbated to such a destructive level that humans now live on these floating ashrams that are plant-based. And there are people who live on these ashrams called architects. And the architects have plant magic, basically, and so they can build new structures on the ashrams. They can redesign the geography, and they are elevated as far as a class goes. Like, architectures are like the billionaires of these ashrams in the way that they're revered and bowed down to. If we're doing a caste system, they are the highest caste. And then the people who don't have any magic are the lowest caste. And we have a dual POV narrative. We have, I always want to say her name wrong, but what's her name? Okay, we have Ahilia and Aravan. And Ahilia and Aravan have been married for a while. Ahilia, I feel like I'm saying her name wrong, doesn't have any type of magic, and Aravan is like the greatest architect who has ever lived on an ashram ever. And their marriage is not good. Like, at the beginning of the book, Aravan hasn't slept at home for 7 months. They are basically not talking to each other. And the reason they're not talking to each other is because their marriage has been fraught for a while, and Raven thinks having a baby is going to make it better. And Hylia is like, no, absolutely not. And that's why he hasn't been home. And Hylia, am I saying her name wrong? Yeah, Hylia is an archaeologist, and she is really fighting for a more equal class system on the ashram. She wants people who are not architects and who do not have magic to have an equal position of power as the architects, and for there just to be more equability in their lives and in how their ashram is governed. And of course, the architects do not like that idea at all because they are big time snobs. And I forgot what I gave the Surviving Sky, but I remember thinking, because I read it 2 years ago, that I really loved the world building and the magic system. I thought that was really interesting. I really liked how flawed both of the main characters were. Because you get both of their POVs, you can flip back and forth on who you're rooting for and who you're not within this couple because they both do things that are not good and are not cool and are not going to make their relationship better. And there's a lot of miscommunication, but it's miscommunication that really makes sense. Not miscommunication just for the miscommunication trope, but the way a couple can miscommunicate or not communicate when your relationship is not working at all. But there were also things I didn't really love about it. While I really like that those two main characters are flawed, I also didn't like how flawed they were, and they were really frustrating sometimes to read from. And I feel like there is something else that I had a critique about, but now I can't remember. But I remember it being a 3.5 star reading experience. Let's see if that's accurate. Oh, I gave 4.25. That's higher than I thought. Okay. So anyways, I remember the ending being absolutely wild and there being a reveal that was very cool, and then a plot point that I didn't like. And so this picks up not too long after that happened. I don't know if we say exactly how long there is between book 1 and book 2, but not a lot of time has passed. And so the climactic action of book 1 has passed. We have moved on a little bit, but not so much that anything is really different about this world or about the ashram's class structure. And yeah, I did not reread The Surviving Sky, and I tried to find a really detailed summary. Basically, I can't quite remember what the ending was. I remember what one of the reveals was, that plot point, but I don't remember. I vaguely, very vaguely remember what the reveal was, but I've spent the last 50 pages reading, obviously, but also scrambling to remember what all the things that happened in book 1. So I'm not having a great time, but I'm not having a bad time, is basically how I feel about this book. I also realized that I was separate from this, just talking about this video in general, I realized that I was overly ambitious when I set out my TBR for this video. And so this is going to be the last book that I read for this episode, and which makes me sad because I didn't really want to read the Oleander Sword, but I've done too many big projects this month, and I need to wrap up those projects because I've read one book off of my actual May TBR, and it's the 17th of May. So that's a problem. So this will be the last video of this. This will be the last book of this video, and I am planning on doing another episode in June for Clear Shit, where I will only be reading the sequels that I already own. So hopefully I will get to the Oleander Sword in that one, or I'll just keep putting it off forever and ever and ever, because that is obviously an option as well. Hopefully not, but hopefully not. eventually I do want to black out the bingo board. So I'm going to keep going with this. Hopefully I will get more locked in. Is this 500 pages? Oh, it is. It's just over 500 pages. Yeah, hopefully I'll get more settled in and remember enough that then I can just enjoy the story instead of trying to remember all the things that happened in book 1 and being partly distracted while I'm reading. That's my hope. But I do like Kritika H. Rao's writing. She has a very straightforward writing style, which I really appreciate. I've read a lot of books with kind of flowery writing this month, and so I really like that she's just straight to the point. There is a lot of descriptive imagery in here, though, for the ashram. So as somebody who doesn't picture what she's reading very well, the descriptions are lost on me, but luckily it's not too description heavy. But this world, I feel like, is very well described in a very like straightforward, this is how it is kind of way. And I find the magic system just absolutely fascinating. I think that part's really cool. Okay, I've been yapping for like 10 minutes, so I'm gonna go read now. I've been reading this book all day. I am 100 pages in, and I have zero interest in what is happening. So that's a problem. And I did that thing in my head where I kept saying, well, give it another chapter, give it another chapter. My general rule is a book has 50 pages to catch my interest, especially if it is a bigger book, because if you are 500 pages, you can't wait until page 200 or 250 to catch my interest. I need you to be interested from the get-go. And maybe if I had read The Surviving Sky after this book had already come out and I could just roll from that ending into this book, maybe that would be a different story. Maybe it's that I didn't reread it, though honestly I didn't want to. I debated it, but I don't want to reread it. It's not how I really want to spend my time right now. And without spoiling anything, in case you are interested in picking up this series, one of the things that happened at the end of book 1, one of the things we learned is, of course, still a major part of the story in book 2, and I am anticipating will only grow. And it is something that I deeply dislike reading, like deeply dislike. So that's kind of killing the book for me a little bit, which on the upside made me think, okay, I want to be able to DNF in this project. I am reading too many series to not DNF them if they are no longer holding my interest. So what do I do in an episode of the series if I want to DNF a book? I think that means I can DNF, but I need to go to that square in the bingo board and I need to replace it with another series. Now, luckily, as I said, I'm reading a crap ton of series. And so obviously I wasn't able to put every series I'm reading on this bingo board. I kind of had to pick the ones that I was most excited about. But I have obviously, since I made this bingo board, thought of other books that I could add to this. And I have to start making a list of books that I could also put on a bingo board if I want to do it again next year, or if I decide to DNF a series and DNF the book and I need to replace it with something else. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm officially going to be DNFing this series. Though I do have a standalone by Kritika H. Rao that came out earlier this year, so I am still excited to read that one because it's really just this plot point that is really hurting this book for me because I dislike that scenario so much in books. DNF. I actually have to go to work, so I don't have time to tell you what I'm going to pick instead. I actually don't even have time to talk through it or think about it right now, but I will determine what I am going to put in this book slot instead, and then I will be back in 1 second for you to tell you what I am going to be reading instead of The Unrelenting Earth. I wrote down about 10 titles. No, that is such a lie. Why did I say that number? I wrote down 6 titles, and I'm truly incapable of making a decision right now, so we're going to utilize the old spinner wheel, which I have not used in a really long time. I have Dinosaur Sanctuary Volume 5, which is a manga that series that I'm reading. I have The Imposition of Unnecessarily Obstacles by Mako Older, which is a novella. Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldree. Can you believe I have not read that book yet? I have not. Knockout by Sarah MacLean. I also cannot believe I have not read that book yet. Dead Voices by Catherine Arden, which is middle grade. And then Love Code by Anne Gare, which is alien romance. So we got some variety, and I have double checked, and they're all fairly easily attainable because I have Dinosaur Sanctuary in physical format, and I have Bookshops and Bone Dust on audio already, but I don't have, so I had to double check and make sure I could get all of these. So let's go ahead and I'll press my little screen recorder and let's spin and see what I'm gonna read. I'm so nervous. I hope it's something I'm excited about. Okay. Honestly, not my first choice, but that's okay. That's okay. I read book 1 in this series, which is called Strangelove, I think 2 years ago, and absolutely loved it. I thought it was so good, so unique, so original, so well done. Anna Garrett, I think, is really funny, and I really love her writing. So this is honestly not too bad. So I'm gonna put that in to my bingo board as the replacement for The Unrelenting Earth, and I will come back when I have something to tell you about Love Code. Oh, should I tell you what Love Code is about? Should I tell you what Strangelove is about? So this is like a interconnected romance series, and in Strangelove, this woman is on Earth just like minding her own business, and this alien ship comes down and abducts her. And she is abducted, but the alien guy thinks that he is on a different planet, like his GPS malfunctioned, and so he thinks he's taking the woman that he had like matched with on like a dating app, an alien dating app. And so he's confused because he thinks this is someone who is like consented to come onto a ship, and she's terrified because she's just been abducted by an alien. And then there's like a reality competition element, and anyways, it was great. It was lovely. And this one I think is the AI from the ship in Strangelove. He's the one who is falling in love with an alien scientist. Okay, so I think this will be fun. If nothing else, it will be a good time. I'm 50% in to Love Code, and let me just say, Anne Nagar writes the coziest, sweetest, softest alien romances I've ever read. I'm not loving this the same way I loved Strange Love. That was like a 5-star. I was absolutely obsessed with it. I don't have the same obsession with this one so far, but our plot is Helix, who is the AI from Strange Love, like the AI of that main character's ship. At the end of Strangelove, left the two main characters, and at the beginning of this book, he has the ship he was in that he was piloting as the AI crash lands on this planet, and oh, I forget her name. Kwalu sees the crash and she goes, and she's a scientist, and so she takes his AI and puts him into like a biosynthetic body that she has built, because this is like a big part of her research and like what she does. And then Helix wakes up at the very beginning of the book and has amnesia and doesn't really remember. Like, he remembers who he is, he remembers the main characters from the first book, but he doesn't remember like what happened in between leaving those two and crash landing on the planet. So he doesn't know how he got there. Pause. I have to go let Puzzle out of my room. Okay, so he crashes, or he wakes up in this new body. He has amnesia. And then Kwalu, like shortly after that, her mothers come to visit. She has like 4 of them. And they've really been pressuring her to settle down, to pick a mate. And she asks Helix to pretend to be her partner. So it's like amnesia, AI, fake dating trope. But it's so sweet because Helix has never been in a physical body before. And so he's not sure what a bunch of sensations are. And I think this is the original cover. The audiobook that I'm listening to on Spotify has a different cover, but I think this is what they look like. And so like their fronds, tendrils on their head like feel sensation. And so like I just love how soft they are and how sweet, and also how Anna Gare is like, an alien anatomy is going to be different than a human anatomy. So how could an alien species that is still bipedal experience pleasure? Like what part of their bodies would maybe be erogenous that humans don't have? And I just love that creativity and that thoughtfulness and imagination. It's like I've only read one Ice Planet Barbarian book, but I just hated it because it's so violent and like the consent is so dubious, and it's boring because they're basically like, those aliens are basically humans just with blue skin or green skin or whatever. Like there's really nothing about them that is truly alien. And I feel like this series like is so much sweeter and softer, and the consent is there, but also it's like, hey, alien anatomy would work differently. What could I imagine in that alien anatomy? And it was like my favorite thing about book one is because he's an alien but she's humanoid, and their anatomy just didn't line up. And so like with the discovery of how can we make each other feel good even though our anatomy isn't compatible, it was so well done, and so just like what I want from an alien romance, apparently. So like I said, this is not a 5-star because I just don't enjoy Helix as a love interest as much. I'm liking everything else. So I'm having a good time, even if it's not the same like obsessive feeling that I had with Strangelove. So I'm glad I pivoted because I don't know if I would have remembered to read this series, to continue on with this series on my own, even though I've started like 3 Anna Gare romance series and haven't continued with them. I should probably do something about that, but I am doing something about it. I'm continuing with this series, and it's a fun time. So I will probably not update until I finish this because this is a pretty short book. I think I listened to some of it at the gym on audio, and I like the audiobook. It's like dual person POV, but the audiobook is just a single narrator, which is fine. I don't mind it. I think I'm on chapter 11 now. Or I might be on chapter 12, but I definitely made a little bit of progress. My Kobo says I have like 2 hours left to go. If I just like focused and read, I could do it. So I might try to do that because it's Sunday, so I have a little extra time. Okay, now I'm just rambling. Bye. Last night I did end up finishing Love Code, and I gave it a 3.75. If you needed me to stick to half stars only, I probably would rather bump it up to a 4 than down to a 3.5. So not quite the hit that Strangelove was, which I'm pretty bummed about. But there were a lot of things to like about this. I think because both of these characters were so analytical, with Helix being an AI and Kwalu being a scientist, they were very matter of fact, and there were very few moments to kind of swoon and kick my feet at, but it was still like a really gentle, very genuine, very sweet story, which I think if you like want an alien romance but minimal trigger warnings, like this is definitely the route to go. There was quite a bit of action in the last half as they tried to solve the mystery of what Helix was doing prior to losing his memory, and we did visit with characters from book 1, which I really liked. And yeah, just all in all, like really enjoyable, really sweet. Will I forget what happened in it in a few months? Probably, but still definitely worth the maybe 5 hours it took me to read it. And even that being said about how analytical they were, there was like something Helix said to Kalu that was just, it was so sweet. It was so sweet. And I really want to read it too, but I also feel like that moment is so wonderful that even though it's not a spoiler because it's a romance, like we know how it ends, I really think that hearing Helix put voice to his feelings is like really lovely. So I won't read that to you, but just know it is a swoon worthy moment in a in a book that I felt like was kind of lacking some swoon. This also isn't super spicy. There's only 1 or 2 spicy scenes, and because they're aliens and their anatomy is so different, I don't know, sometimes spicy scenes can kind of ick me out depending on the language the author chose, but because their anatomy is an alien anatomy, I don't know, I was able to read it without cringing, which was nice. So yeah, now that I finished Love Code, this is what the bingo board currently looks like. I did not get the bingo that I was chasing at the beginning, but that's okay. That was probably an unrealistic goal anyway. I feel like this is far more reasonable, and it just means I have room to play the next go around. I will be doing another episode in June because that is Clear Your Shit month, which means I will be tackling the sequels that are already on my physical TBR, and I'm also very excited to dive into that. So the lighting is getting wild over here. But thank you so much for watching and for spending your precious time with me. If you would like to leave an emoji to let me know you made it to the end of this video, let's do either a Christmas or St. Patrick's Day emoji, since I think Go Luck Yourself was definitely my favorite book of this video. Definitely my favorite book of this video. And like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll talk to y'all in the next one. Bye!